Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay once again from the GameFaqs tournament currently going on, hosted by Bone Carlos. In the bottom right corner, we have playing under the yellow ZORRY from the thread, and we also have Crazy Man in the top left playing our Periwinkle Protoss. I don't know what it is with Periwinkle, but for some reason Protoss. I love saying Periwinkle Protoss because it's an alliteration. It's nice. I like it. Yeah, so Blink is not Blink. He is Crazy Man, and he is, I believe, in gold, and we are going pretty slow. There we go. Faster. Thank you. He is in gold, and O'Reilly is in platinum, I believe. So comparable levels on the match. I'd hate for these guys to be matched up with some of the masters who are playing in the game, but that's going to happen eventually because someone's going to win, someone's going to move on, and someone's going to go down to the losers bracket, and eventually they're going to collide with those masters players, and they're going to have to prove their stuff there. Ohana is a nice map to prove your stuff on, especially Zerg versus Protoss. It's one of my favorite matchups because it's so dynamic. The back and forth timings that you get to play with is very fun, and Ohana just lets you kind of dominate middle map if you can do those surrounds, but then you've also got little crevices that you can squeeze your army in if you want to use the terrain to your advantage. It's nice. I like it a lot, and it kind of favors two-base play, but by no means is Zerg confined to two-base. You can take a third if you want to take down the destructible debris and open up that pathway. It's very friendly that way. Single gateway going down with the one gas for Crazy Man right now. He's got that early probe heading out for a scout, checking out the third base right away. Maybe going to drop down a pylon there for some proxy shenanigans later on. Warp in a couple of zealots with that access down to the third base. It's very powerful to have a couple of zealots being able to spawn and harass a probe line with minimal cost to yourself. One pool, one gas, going pool first. No early hatch coming out of O'Reilly. Just for the time being, playing kind of... Oh, really? It's alright. He stopped all the mining just for a second. You know, that sort of thing can lay havoc on really tight timings, but I think O'Reilly is just playing kind of passive right now. He's getting that pool out first. It'll help him from any sort of aggression coming out of Crazy Man. Crazy is pretty crazy. He's throwing down a proxy gateway. He's got a gateway at home, which is scouted by now, I'm sure. Let me see. No, it has not been scouted. That's weird. So, no scout drone out of O'Reilly just yet, but you've got to know basically the build that Protoss is going to go. But with this proxy gateway, he'll be able to chrono boost out a lot of zealots and get them in the main pretty quickly. But with that pool going up before the hatchery, it's not like O'Reilly's going to be without defenses. He's going to have several Zerglings up. It looks like his drone is in position. There goes the hatchery, just down on that main. But with metabolic boost going on, I don't think O'Reilly's going to be in too much trouble from Crazy Man's proxy gateway. And then as soon as warp tech is done, that gateway is going to be absolutely useless, except it's just going to be there and get ready to die. The placement of it just exposes it to it, unless he's doing a bunch of zealots for some super early aggression, and he's not making enough gateways. He needs another gateway down if that's going to just the timing that he's working with. Roach Warren already on the way. I really don't think O'Reilly's going to have any problem with holding off some aggression. Spine also being built on the high ground. Undoubtedly it'll be transferred down to the hatch on the lower level just to provide some added static defenses. Two stalkers up, and this Overlord has got to be careful. Wow, he's already taken a couple of hits. It's intimidating. So basically, Crazy Man is gearing up for some earlier aggression, and O'Reilly doesn't quite know about it. He's got some good Overlord placement, but nothing out in the middle of the map, nothing to key him in that there's multiple zealots being produced down at this gateway. He only sees the one, and he doesn't have anything taking a watchtower in the center to notice that the three stalkers are coming down. So he doesn't know that this aggression is coming, but with a single roach on the field and a handful of Zerglings, really wants to transfer down that spine like right now, because those stalkers have taken the middle watchtower, and they know they're going to be able to push in just a couple of seconds. Sacrificial Zerglings running up, meeting the stalkers. Two of them go down. Warpgate Tech is going to finish. That's probably what O'Reilly is waiting for, was waiting for, now that his aggression has been noticed. He's having to pull back. That Spinecrawler transferred just in time. The Roach having just a couple of hits left in him before he goes down. All of a sudden, man, Crazy Man is pretty much dominating this expansion is in trouble. 10 Zerglings on the way. They shouldn't have a problem with the 2 queens supporting them to take out the zealots. Got to be careful though, he's going to lose one of those queens. Queen goes down, but so do all the zealots. All of a sudden it's just 3 stalkers against 10 Zerglings and a couple of roaches. Has to get these workers right back to work. It really wants to get that saturation up, because behind this aggression, Crazy Man was taking his expansion. And the economic advantage that Zerg had just for a moment. Oh, some good micro there out of Crazy Man running his stalker while the other 2 go to town. Manages to take down the rest of those Zerglings and keep his 2 stalkers alive with just the cost of 1. Not bad at all. Getting 2 more spines, because Aurelius kind of worried about that aggression that came out of Protoss, but in reality the Protoss is content to macro up behind this aggression. He's going to get a wall off, he's going to get some sentries up to hold that wall, and he's going to get a nice saturation down at the main. On the back of that, you can see that 7 drones were popping out from this expansion, getting the mineral income right back up where it should be. Probably wants to grab another gas pretty soon. Oh, there it goes. Probably wants to grab another gas so they can get the upgrades. Evo chamber also dropping. Probably concerned about some other sort of cheese, or just wants to get the upgrades himself. +1 attack, +1 armor is the bomb in PVZ. A lot of sentries though. Those sentries are going to be very helpful if the Zergling production continues, with Roach Tech already up and a couple more roaches on the way. He's really not producing a lot of roaches. I think that's, I'm not sure why that is. Roaches can be a very heavy hitter. We don't see a Robotech out on the field just yet from Crazy Man. Once that Robo does come out, we might see a bunch of Immortals, but there's not a lot of roaches out on the field, and those Immortals are usually used to counter roaches. 4 gas total being grabbed by the Zerg. Aurelius probably going to be teching even higher with that layer on the way. Probably wants to get a couple of upgrades for his Roach Warren, and is thinking about taking down a third. Looks like once those destructible debris go down, he'll probably manage to take that third. But with some continued aggression, I wonder if Crazy Man knows you don't have to have this warp gate down there to... I guess this was just a failed cheese, like just trying to get a ridiculous number of zealots out to surprise his opponent, but in reality it was just a little bit too much. I mean, that aggression was great. It did a really good job. Don't get me wrong, it took out one of the queens. It was very, very good, but I don't see what he gained by having a gate there rather than just one at home. 2 gate is not uncommon opening, and it can be very effective. I'm interested to hear his reasoning. Hey, Robo Bay is up. The Robo produces 1 observer, but once it gets down there and sees the sheer number of roaches, and one of the zealots did go down to those roaches down in the main, so he probably knows that he wants to get an Immortal up, and there it is. +1 finishing for Crazy Man. We can see a Spore being built probably in the main. Yeah, it's just some added protection, some added detection. Probably going to take down the observer if he's not too careful with it. But some solid defense down at the natural. 3 spines and a lot of roaches out on the field. Those roaches have to be careful as the Immortal number starts to rise. They're going to melt away very quickly, especially if it's mixed in with some stalkers. But with a 3rd base coming down, I believe that Aurelius is going to be able to macro quite heavily, build up a force that's capable of dealing with this one. Something else to realize is all of these sentries got built a long time ago, and you can just see all that purple. It tells you that that's quite a lot of energy that they can expend on force fields and really hem in those roaches and give Crazy Man a strong advantage in any aggression that's going to happen really soon. Even if that force moves out and gets surrounded in the common ground, those force fields can be a lifesaver, and they can also just completely swing the tide of battle in Protoss's favor. And Infestor Pit, the fungal growth can do pretty much the exact same thing that force fields can do, is hold the Protoss in a position that is unfavorable to them. So it's a very good idea to get that out, especially when coupled with the pathogen glands. Infestors are ridiculously awesome. And with a lot of gas to spend down, Aurelius probably thinking about using that gas for Infestors, which is something I wholeheartedly agree with. 7 Zerg drones on the way down to saturate that natural. Look at this army out of Crazy Man. This is quite intimidating, especially with each one of those Immortals going to be doing 55 damage. With 3 Immortals, it's enough to one-shot a Roach, I believe. Just checking with those Zerglings to see if that 3rd went up, leaving a handful there to see if that expansion does take place. trying to take a fourth, but gets scouted by the buildings that were there. It's interesting that it's good that he canceled it, but it's interesting that it allowed it to actually be built without sending 3 Zerglings over there. These Protoss have +1/+1, which means that they two-shot the Zerglings. So this is, even though he gets a complete surround, the engagement's definitely going to swing in Blink's favor. Actually, the mineral resources loss is pretty much purely in Crazy Man's favor. I think... Wow, I can't believe all those guys died, and those Zerglings actually all died to that. So here comes a huge engagement. Those force fields I was talking about, choking the roaches, denying them the surround. The Immortals going to work. This guy already with 4 kills. More force fields down on the ramp to hold back those roaches. The third is definitely going to go down. And another warp in, the warp prism out on the field, providing warp ins just right on top of the army. This is really solid play out of Crazy Man. The infestors arrive just a moment too late, not really supported by the roaches. Some good fungal growths down, holding Crazy Man's army away from the actual ramp, but the rest of the stalkers are going to swing up and start to engage the spine crawlers. The infestors get hemmed in by more force fields. Oh man, we're really just completely steamrolled by this power play out of Blink. It was a very, very solid play from Crazy Man. Hats off to her really for the hold in the early game. That was very impressive. And I'm interested to hear what Crazy Man's logic was with the proxy 1 gate, if he was expecting to do more Zealot production there, or how common it is for him to win off of that, because I've never seen it before, but I imagine it's pretty successful. That's it for me, guys. If you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary.